Hi, and welcome back to Wildman Wheels. Happy 4th of July. I know that was on Friday, but happy 4th of July anyway. Today, we've got to finish getting this thing prepped and ready. And I'd like to actually try to get as much sanding done as possible and get it down to as much bare steel as possible, because I'm tired of looking at this thing and I hate seeing it taken apart. It just drives me up the wall. I can't take it out and go drive it around and the thing's in a million pieces. So we got to just make it happen and make it happen as fast and quick as possible, but we're going to do a good job. Out here, you can see we got all this out. We got this down here and we saved it. It's already starting to rust, but right now it's just surface rust. It's not bad rust. We can come in here, we can clean this up, and we can get this taken care of. Up here, same kind of thing. We got some surface rust, but nothing crazy. Now, I did find a couple places that we're going to need to address. This kind of goes into last week, what I was talking about. You got to make sure you don't be so concerned with keeping water out. Just make sure it has a way to get out. Prime example right here, down in this little tray right here. There's nowhere for the water to come out. Now there is a little hole right here, and that might be their thought, like, oh hey, there's a little hole right there. This needs to have a hole drilled in it right here on the bottom. It needs a place where all of this can immediately drain. The second place is right over here on the inner fender. This is a solid piece right here, and there's no but there's a big old huge gaping hole. This is where it sucks all the air in for the coming inside the cab. It goes through the heater core. This, you can see, full of water. If you follow this up, it goes all the way up into here, and then it's spot welded to this piece of sheet metal right here. There's nowhere for the water to come out. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be drilling a hole right here to allow the water, any water that does make its way inside the inner fender, it's got a place to come out. And then same thing on this side. Nowhere for the water to go. So I'm going to be drilling a hole right through here. So any water that makes it up inside the inner fender will be able to drain out, run along this, down into this little tray, and then right on out into the big wide world. It needs to be a big enough hole that it's not going to plug instantaneously as soon as you get a little bit of debris, but you don't want it to be so big that it's just a massive gaping hole. You can see this is the original color, and you have your factory marks are still on underneath the sheet metal. So that's kind of cool. So you can see we got this thing cleaned up. We got it all cleaned out and got rid of all the dirt and dust and leaves and junk. And you can see this thing actually looks pretty good. We do have quite a bit of surface rust up here, but I think we caught it just in time before this surface rust turned into like bad rust and really kind of worked its way in there. So we're gonna be hitting all of this with a wire wheel, stripping it down, getting it nice and clean and shiny, back down to clean, shiny metal, and then we're gonna be painting all of this. I wanna take it from where it's at and make it last another 50 years, right? So we're gonna go through and we're gonna find a few places where International could have done things better, right? Mainly letting water out. That's kind of the biggest issue that these Scouts have, is they don't let the water out. And this is one of the things a lot of people don't really take into consideration. If you're working on an old Chevelle or an old Ford LTD or a Galaxy or something like that, right? It's a car, and its intended use is to just drive on asphalt its entire life. It's not gonna really build up with a lot of dirt and dust in the nooks and crannies and behind fenders and behind things, because it just kind of drives on the road. And so you can have very small gaps and seams where water can kind of just wick its way out. The problem is with off-road vehicles, pickup trucks, things that are going to spend a lot of time out on dirt roads and in the mud, and something like this, it's an off-road vehicle. It's literally intended to be off-roading, rock crawling, mud bogging, hitting the dirt roads, whatever it is. That's what this thing is made for. The problem with those is dirt and dust, mainly dust, will find its way into every nook and cranny and crevice inside of that vehicle, no matter how well you've got it sealed up. Once you get enough years of dirt and dust built up, you actually have quite a thick layer of dust inside of your fenders and inside all of these areas. Then once you get a little bit of moisture, you get a little bit of water, that dust turns into mud. The mud dries, it hardens, and now all of your little weep hole areas are now plugged, and they can't let the water out. It can eventually kind of work its way out, but then the mud stays wet for a long time because it doesn't have good airflow, and then there's a whole thing, right? So what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be making sure that we're gonna be adding a few strategic holes in very strategic locations in order to make sure that water can get out from wherever it gets in, but we have to make these holes large enough that just dirt and dust and maybe the occasional rock or whatever, stick, leaf, something like that, isn't going to just immediately plug the hole, and then you're basically back in the exact same position. So we're gonna be putting fairly large holes in very strategic areas, just to make sure things have an opportunity to drain out effectively and easily. And if things can drain, if there's no water hidden or blocked anywhere, then this thing should have another 50, 60 years in it. So with that being said, let's get after it. Step one, initially I was thinking I'd just tape off around these and just paint, but you're not gonna get a good paint seam right here. It's gonna look terrible. So I'm gonna be doing the right thing. We're gonna be pulling both of these wing windows out. There's only 3 bolts. We're just gonna take them out. And then we can tape off in a manner where, you know, it'll look good when it's painted, because then we can put it down and there's not these weird like tape seams, and like I can see the old crappy paint underneath that piece of rubber. You know what I'm saying? We've all done it. So that's what we're gonna be doing. Now this is what I'm trying to preach to you. Don't just blow the whole thing apart. And you're thinking, Austin, you've literally blown the whole thing apart. No, not really. We had to take the windshield frame off and replace it because it's rusted. So that's a requirement. We got the fenders out of the way because we need to get this cleaned out. We needed to. This is required, right? But 15 minutes, I got the fenders back on. There's like 12 bolts and then they're back on. We haven't gotten too deep, right? And the fenders there's not like critical alignment, you know, things with the fenders. Like they're literally just bolt on. They're really easy, right? The hood, I'm leaving the hood on. We're not taking the hood off. I don't want to have to try to realign that, readjust that. We're leaving the doors on. I don't want to have to realign or readjust those either. We're leaving all the big hard stuff, right? But we're getting in here and fixing the areas that absolutely need to be taken care of. You saw how much material was in here. So yeah, we had to take the fenders off. We had to take the windshield frame off because we have to replace it. It's rusted completely out. It's junk, it's garbage. We cannot reuse that, right? And then, so that's all we're doing. We're just going through and we're pulling parts off that we need to pull off and not pulling parts off that we don't need to pull off. This is where projects. This is where, let's say, your project or somebody else's project, or we've seen Facebook Marketplace, right? This is, everybody's got their projects on there, right? This is what happens. They're painting it. They're doing the same kind of thing, right? They're coming through here, fixing the little bit of surface rust and a couple little things, and they're just going to paint it. Needs a paint job, right? Similar kind of situation like this. But then they come over here and go, well, I'm just going to go ahead and take the wing windows out and make it easier to paint. You know, these wing windows, they got a bunch of cracks in them. The grommets or the seals are actually really bad condition. I might as well just go ahead and get the kit with all new seals and just reseal this before I put it back in. And then you look and realize, well, that's like $150 per side, so it's an extra $300. And then, well, while I'm in here, I might as well go ahead and just reseal this, and that seal kit's $50. And you know, we already got it this far apart. It'd actually be really easy to go ahead and just change out the wiring harness. That would be the right thing to do. And well, the wiring harness is $1,500. And you know, while we're in here, we probably should go ahead. You see what I'm saying? That's dangerous, absolutely dangerous. Don't think that. Don't think that. Fix one thing at a time. One thing at a time. We're doing the paint. We're doing the windshield frame. That has to be replaced. We're doing that. And then we're fixing issues, design issues, and putting it and painting it, right? These need new gaskets. They need to be resealed. But you know what? It takes about 5 minutes to take these things out. So we're going to be taking this out. I'm going to be putting it over here on the workbench. We're going to be painting. And when we're done painting, I'm going to put it right back in with the bad seals. Should we? Yeah, we absolutely should be replacing those seals. Are we going to replace those seals? Maybe someday. I don't know. Maybe the next guy that gets it. It's a nice little project for that guy. He can replace the seals. I don't know. It doesn't matter. All I'm saying is we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not going to just go through and just make everything right the way it should be from the get-go. Because what happens is now you start to realize, you start putting it all together, you start calculating out, well, I need $7,000 more in order to complete this project. Well, I don't have $7,000. Okay, so I'm going to start saving up $7,000. And for the first couple weeks, maybe month, you're actually like, you know, pretty good at that. And you actually like save up and put money aside and you start ordering a part here and a part there, right? But for a lot of people, that's a very difficult thing to do. Some people have that determination and they actually have that willpower and self-control to actually do something like that. And I applaud you, people that do that. But for the rest of us, we can't do that because squirrel. So for the rest of us, we have to understand, first step is understand that I'm not the type of person that can be that self-disciplined and always dedicate a certain percentage of my paycheck to saving up and buying parts for XYZ and purchase all of these things. And then, you see what I'm saying? Not all of us have that, right? And so you have to understand that about yourself. If that's not you, don't try to tell yourself that's who you are. And this is a project. No, you know you're not that type of person. You just look back in your history and be honest with yourself and realize, I'm not that kind of person. I can't do that. I need to be the kind of person that says, I'm fixing one thing at a time. You drive it around with the terrible paint and you know, hey, I need paint. You go down to a paint place and say, yeah, we can sell you all the paint and all the primer and all the whatever's you're needing. It's going to cost you $1,500. Okay, sounds great. You know you need $1,500. You start saving up the $1,500 and you drive it around with the terrible paint for as long as you need until you get that $1,500. Why? Because you're enjoying it and you're having fun with it. And every time you drive it and you enjoy it, you realize, man, this paint's terrible. And it's going to kind of poke and prod you along to save up that money and get the paint. If you tear the entire thing apart and then go look and figure out, well, it's going to cost me $1,500 for paint. Well, then guess what? It's going to stay torn apart forever because you don't see it. You don't notice it. It's out in the garage. You don't think about it. Life moves on, right? And that's what I'm trying to help you with. Life moves on with or without you, whether you like it or not. So make sure you plan your projects around the fact that life's going to happen. Once we get this paint finished, I'm going to be leaving things like this and the wiring harness and the whatever. Would it be easier to do it while it's all tore apart? Yeah, sure, it would. But you know what's better? Driving this around and enjoying it. And that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be driving around and enjoying this as often as possible. So let's go ahead and get started on this thing. Let's get this thing tore apart. Let's get these wing windows, the side mirrors, the door handle, the latches, the trim, the side marker lights. We got to pull it all apart. We got to get it all out of here so we can start sanding. Once we've got this thing sanded down and we got all this, then we can just start painting, priming, sanding, painting, and then we can reassemble it. This thing's gonna look great. And I'm so excited. I cannot wait. So let's stop talking about it and let's get to it. All right, so if you've never pulled a wing window out of a Scout before, don't worry, it's really, really easy. You don't gotta take anything apart. Pop that cover off, there's a bolt inside of there. And then right here on the door, there's a plastic cover here, and then there's another one right down here. So I'm gonna pull this out just so you can see, but just so you know, 1, 2, 3, and then this thing pulls straight up. Straight up, just. Now, one of the things is this little channel right here. This is your groove that your actual window, your side window track, it rides inside of this, and it extends down inside of here a little ways to support the top of the window right here. There's a second piece of track that runs down the rest of the way, but it transitions onto this piece kind of right in here. Now, when you go to pull this out, don't flex it back and forth this way. It'll be tempting. Don't twist it. It'll be tempting. Just do a simple shimmy shake out. If you do any of the twisting and bending and flexing to try to get this thing to come out, what happens is you end up kinking this track down here, and then your window will never roll up and down smooth ever again. I don't care how much carefuling you try to hammer that and straighten that. This is not gonna work, okay? So just do yourself a favor. Just shimmy shake, out. That's it. So I just wanted to show you a little closer view of that. I'm gonna have you guys on that side watching me, and we're just gonna get that out just so you're like, what did he do? Well, that's what I did. 1/2 inch deep drive socket. Oh no, we dropped it. That's okay, we're taking the door card off, and we'll be able to get to that bolt later. Now we're gonna go ahead and take this bolt off up here. I'm gonna be using a little super slick stuff. Lube all of this up inside of here. So that way where it slides out, hopefully it'll boom, it's out. Look at that, no rust whatsoever. Looks great. You could, if you dropped that bolt like I did right here, you could get a magnet down in there to grab that at this point. Carefuling. 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 This is all in really, really good condition. So 3/8, and there's a little stud that goes from this side of the door handle right here, the small side of the door handle, it goes through the door, and there's a little stud inside, and so we gotta get that guy. There's your little nut, and there's your little washer. Now we're gonna go ahead and pull this side. There you go. And as you can see on the inside, all you do is when you push the thumb button, you're literally just, extending a rod onto the inside where this latching mechanism is. All right, so the next thing that we need to do is we need to get this guy out of here so we don't have to tape him off. It's really, really hard to get that one out. It's just the amount of work that you have to do to get that guy out is just mind-boggling. But, you know, it has to be done. Somebody has to do it. And yeah, so we just really gotta, you know, work hard at that. Look at that. We got a nice, clean, shaven door. The last thing we need to do is pop the trim off, so let's do that. I know a lot of times for me, myself, if I can just see how the thing works or how it's put together, I can figure out how to take it apart. So if you have a Scout, there's these little clips. These little guys right here, actually, you can replace these. You can buy reproduction clips for your trim. But you can see there are these little squeezy tabs. And that's how it holds into the actual door. And you can see a couple of these guys are a little, we need to clean these guys up and kind of give them a little assistance to get them to kind of pop back around. But when you go to put this back in, you just make sure these two tangs fit inside the hole and you push and then it'll latch on. So when you go to take them out, you're gonna need two different tools. I got this guy right here, something similar to this, right? A pair of needle nose pliers. What you're gonna wanna do is use this guy. And if you got a plastic one, that works too. If you're trying to be careful with the paint, I'd actually highly recommend a plastic pry tool of some sort. But what you're gonna wanna do is get this behind so you can put a little bit of pressure on this. Then from the inside of the door, you're gonna reach in with your needle nose pliers and you're gonna squeeze this guy in together with the needle nose pliers. As soon as you squeeze it together, while you're giving it just the slightest little bit of, you know, it's just gonna slide right out. Nothing gets damaged, nothing gets bent, nothing gets tweaked. All right, so you watched me take this door apart. You watched me get the mirror off, the door handles off, the door lock, all the wing window, the trim, all of the stuff. You watched me take it apart, so now you know how to get it apart. We're just gonna continue this process the rest of the way around the vehicle. So, I'm gonna go ahead and just do this all the way around. We'll be back shortly and we'll get into the next step. You know, getting this Scout all tore apart and cleaned up so we can get this paint stripped kind of reminds me of one of my favorite Bible verses, Deuteronomy chapter 31, verses 6. So, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid and do not panic before them. For the Lord your God will personally go ahead of you. He will neither fail you nor abandon you. All right, let's take a quick looky-loo around here. What do we got? Looking good, looking good. Yep, yep. Okay, see, so this guy pops out exactly the same like the door locks. These guys on the side. There's a little tab, you just slide the tab out and what's cool about that is you can actually still, there's a little tab right in there, you can still push that and open your tailgate. So that's just, it's just basically the, you know, looks good. And piece of cake to get to. You open it up, you take this cover off and you can actually, you'll see that little tab right there. You can just slide it out, and then there she goes. And to go to put it back in, same kind of thing. You'll just put it there, slide your tab in. We've got the license plate and all those accoutrements off of there. Lights are out. She's completely stripped down. We're down just to paint. We got all the goodies off. I'm gonna run down to Ace, and I'm gonna find some black, spray paints. We're gonna get some medium gloss, and I do want to try to find some rust converter. I want to get this kind of area painted on both sides, and then also kind of back inside of here. We got a few areas that are kind of a little light on the paint, hinges and things like that. We're gonna make sure we don't get any paint on the condenser or the radiator, or we'll lose cooling efficiency dramatically. Do not paint your radiator. The paint that's on it from the factory is a special paint that is a thermally conductive paint. Your standard spray paint or paint that you're going to use to paint the body is not thermally conductive, and it will cause it'll overheat like that. And I think that's what we're going to get done today. And then tomorrow, I want to try to get everything sanded down to bare steel all the way around. I think I can do it in one day. I don't know. It's gonna be a little bit of work, but I think we can do it. I think we can do it. So yeah, so let me run down to Ace real quick, grab a couple little, and then we'll get that. Alrighty then, I think we're pretty much done for today. It's about 4:30. We got all of this done today. See, imagine if I didn't have a job, like a day job, and doing this was my day job. Just imagine how much I could get done. But I got a box of parts. It's for the Scout here. So let's dig in here and see what did we get. Whoa. Oh, I'm excited about these guys right here. Reproduction. Look at that. Side marker lights. Look at those guys. Man, those look good. And we went all out. We went all out, fellas. The other ones, the ones that we took off, were probably the original ones, from the factory, and they were plastic, which is fine. But I decided, no, we can't be going around with plastic, and I got actual real chrome. These are actual metal chrome. Man, that's gonna look good with that fancy paint job. All right, this I'm actually pretty excited about. You may be wondering, what in tarnation? These, ladies and gentlemen, are the body bushings. Yeah, because the body bushings on this Scout, the original rubber ones, are completely missing. They're not there anymore. They died and went to heaven. So we got all brand new polyurethane, all new hardware. Transmission shift boot, because the shifter is just a gaping hole, and when we went out for the little drive, there was just like hot vapors coming right through, and it was fairly miserable. We got all new light housings. That's for the rear. Okay, so if you remember back a few episodes ago, I was having issues. Whoop. Kicking the camera there. I was having issues getting the Scout to start. And come to find out, it's because the neutral start switch, well, not necessarily the neutral start switch itself, but the wiring to the neutral start switch, there was no insulation left on the wiring. It was just dangling wires. And so I just removed it, bypassed it, right? So we got a new pigtail for that. So we'll be able to cut all of that out, put a brand new pigtail on there, so we've got a nice new connector. These guys right here, I'm excited about these. These are the little clips that hold all the badges on the vehicle. So like you watched me pull the international badge off the tailgate earlier, and then they have the IH that goes on each fender. We got new clips. So once it's painted and we go to put those badges back on, they're gonna be locked in there and they're gonna be perfect. We also have, check these dudes out. We've got our ground wire. Then we have our running light and brake light. So these are our brake lights. They got nice new rubber gaskets in there. It's all nice. It's actually really well made. And then also our reverse lights. So we got new connectors in the back there. The other ones are just, man, they're rough. It's just, yeah, the thing's 50 years old, right? You know, it's just stuff just wears out after 50 years. So I'm really excited about all of these pieces. I think the thing I'm most excited about, to be honest with you, is these side marker lights. These chrome side marker lights. Man, look at that. Here, let me show you real quick. So this is the one that I just took out from the back there. That's what color it's supposed to be. You can see it's just so faded away to nothing. Awesome. So these are, man, it's gonna make it look like a brand new Scout. Just, it's the little things. There's certain little things that you do that really make that vehicle pop. Really, whoa, didn't zip that. That just really make the vehicle pop, right? And lights. Lights is one of them. If you can get all of your lights to be brightly colored, and I'll tell you a little trick, a little secret, okay? If you don't got the money and you're like, hey, I'm gonna have to reuse these bad dudes. If you have ones that, let's say they don't look bad, but the lens itself is like this, it's just completely faded out, right? And you're trying to really make that vehicle pop and just look good, right? One of the things you can do, little cheat for you, pull the bulbs out, delete the regular bulbs and go buy LED bulbs, because you can buy every single bulb on this truck you can replace with an LED bulb. Just go down to any automotive store, they have them. And then buy the LED, and you can buy them colored LED. So you can get red LED bulbs that you then put in here, and with that LED bulb, it puts out red light. A regular light bulb just puts out regular white light, and it uses the lens to color the light and make the light red. So if you put a red LED light in there, this is gonna glow red, regardless of what the lens is faded. Also, I just got in the mail, the carpet kit. Yeah, we're changing out the carpet in this thing. We can't be painting this guy and doing all this work and making it look super duper awesome and then have terrible carpet that's like used to be maroon and is now like puke green or whatever. Like, we can't have that. We can't, this is unacceptable. We'll be putting in another order. We're gonna be ordering just a few more things. I think I have virtually everything that I need, except for like one or two little things, like just a couple things. And the last couple things I can get at like Napa or AutoZone or whatever. So it's 4th of July. It's almost 5 o'clock. I got out here at 9 a.m. this morning, and so I worked 9 to 5. I didn't take a lunch. So we got a solid 8 hours in on this thing. Just imagine if I didn't have a day job, how much I could get done on a day-to-day basis. Like, I could do like projects like this and have it done in like 2 or 3 episodes. That would be great. Maybe someday when I become a famous YouTuber, I can do things like that. Probably not. Hopefully those rockers will show up in time and we can get those cut out next week and get those replaced and then prime and actually start putting some color down on this thing. It's, you know, in theory. All right, that's going to do it for this week. I'm just going to keep grinding on this, and you don't want to see this. It's boring. It's that. So I'm going to get this all taken care of, and we will see you next week. Go ahead and click this button right here to subscribe. Click on this one over here if you want to watch last week's video. And over here, we have the entire playlist, and you can watch this bad boy from start to finish. All right, take it easy. I'm going to get back to this. Last week's video, go ahead and click on this one over here. Not next week's video.